I got into jewelry completely by chance. It was my second year of college, and I was passing through the Fine Arts Building just because it was so bloody cold out. And I saw a friend of mine in the doorway, and he was working on this piece of equipment. And so I walked in, and I discovered that he was cutting an opal. And it was just this simple rock, but as he ground further and further into that rock, it began to emit these beautiful, beautiful colors. And I was captivated by that. I watched him for about an hour, and he saw how interested I was, and so he gave me an opal to cut, and that changed my life. The next term I signed up for my first jewelry classes, and here that was probably 35 years ago, and I love it more now than I ever have. As an artist, and specifically as a metal or a jewelry artist, there's many, many aspects of creating a good piece of jewelry. There's obviously the technical and functional aspect, but it's interesting because many times when I sit down with my couples, we don't actually talk about the fundamentals of jewelry. We don't talk about, I want a half-carat diamond or a sapphire. We don't talk yellow gold and white gold. We really talk about who they are. Really bringing these personalized stories into their engagement wedding rings. It really does transcend the power of the object, because it really is about that moment in the mountains where he got down on his knee with a twisty tie from a bag of bread and proposed. Those kinds of stories simply don't and can't exist in commercially made jewelry. And so that's one of the aspects of why an individual or a couple might come to me, is because they really want their story told somehow. They want that kind of connectedness. And it really does manifest itself into something pretty great. As we begin our ongoing conversation about their likes, their dislikes, symbols, narratives, materials, stones, no stones, whatever the case might be, what I do is I create what I call a wax prototype. The wax prototype in many ways is a three-dimensional sketch, and it's really used to create more coherency between what they perceive they want and what I believe that they want. This prototype they can put on their hand, they can get a sense of the scale, and we can really talk about all of the subtle details very specifically. And then once they've seen that, once they put it on their hand, then I go back to my bench and I begin to fine-tune. I call it massaging, because sometimes, usually I get very, very close. But really what we're doing is we're taking the essence of what I started with, and then what they perceive, and then we fine-tune that until we get it just right. And then when I get their approval on the prototype, then I actually go ahead and make the finished piece. And that really has all but eliminated any of those bad surprises. And I really like how that works. For me, creating jewelry, it's this balance between science and aesthetics, or what I simply call the head and the heart. It is entirely about the process, and it's also about the process of how I work with my couples, and the uniqueness, the one-of-a-kindness. And when it works, when you get that balance, it's really pretty magical. And it's pretty magical.